We have an update on those 8 inmates who escaped from a North Louisiana detention center early yesterday morning. Details on how inmates have since been captured and how some of them have connections to Acadiana tonight. And a family of 5 in Brobridge is picking up the pieces after a fire claimed their home and everything they owned Friday night. Hear how you may be able to help coming up.
And we had a cold Saturday. We'll be dealing with another cold night ahead. Stay tuned. We'll discuss those temperatures.
Good evening and welcome to Acadiana's News Channel at 6. I'm Anna Fisher and we have an update on those 8 inmates who escaped from the Riverbend Detention Center in East Carroll Parish yesterday morning. All 8 inmates have since been apprehended by authorities. Louisiana State Police announced their capture early this morning. The last 3 inmates to be caught were Krayshawn Salinas, Destin Brogan, and Copeland Vicnair. 2 of those men, Salinas and Vicnair, were tied to crimes that happened here in Acadiana. Vicnair pled guilty to manslaughter after being indicted for the murder of Justin Broussard in downtown Lafayette, while Salinas was booked in St. Mary Parish for several charges, including aggravated flight and theft. To read more about these inmates and their escape, head over to katc.com. And as we prepare for a second cold snap to hit, we'll be talking all things fire and heat safety tonight. Starting in St. Martin Parish, where a family of 5 lost everything in a house fire last night. I spoke with Natasha Pickens, a friend of the Baptiste family. She says she received a call around 8 p.m. saying their house was on fire. Pickens says she rushed over to their house on Hilda Street and found the house engulfed in flames. She says Henderson, Parks, Cecilia, and Brobridge fire departments were all on scene when she arrived. According to Pickens, the mom and 3 children were home when the fire broke out. The Brobridge Fire Department says the cause has yet to be determined and is still under investigation, but Pickens tells a different story.
It started from a candle in the kids' room right here. Whenever they called Dad and they noticed that it was in flames, Dad run in to try to, control it, but it was too big by the time he made it back. Everything is gone. From the meat in the freezer is burnt up. Everything is from the front. Every dimensions of the trailer is gone. So they don't have anything besides the shirt on their back that they, left with last night.
Now you can hear more from Pickens tonight at 10. She is collecting donations on behalf of the family. Her information is available now on your screen, or you can go to katc.com to read more. And as temperatures continue to drop tonight, it's important to stay warm, but to do so safely. Fire officials say winter brings an increase in house fires, often caused by ovens and space heaters. A reminder to never run generators indoors or use your oven for heat. Turn space heaters off before bed, keep them away from curtains and blankets, and plug them directly into a wall outlet. And speaking of the cold, several warming centers across Acadiana have extended their operations in anticipation of this weekend's freezing weather. In Lafayette Parish, the warming center at the Dupuis Recreation Center is open right now through Monday, and transportation to the center is available through Lafayette Transit System. Meanwhile, in Vermilion Parish, the warming center in Kaplan opened at KC Hall on North Lejeune Avenue, and in Abbeville, the shelter at Faith Hope Christian Fellowship is open as well. In Iberia Parish, the warming center at the Robert B. Greene Veterans Memorial Building is also open tonight for anyone in need of a warm place to stay. It will remain open until 11 a.m. Sunday. But let's take a live look now over at Acadiana, where it's getting chillier by the minute out there. We are dropping below freezing again tonight, but hopefully that's not sticking around for long. Let's go ahead and bring in Acadiana weather expert Brianna Lewis. Brianna, what do you think?
Yeah, Anna, it's been very cold the last couple of days, and Saturday and today was the coldest day out of this 10-day period. Some temperatures are already below freezing as of now, but us in Lafayette, south of I-10, a little bit above freezing for now, but as that sun sets a little bit more, we'll start to see that cold air really take over for tonight. So Lafayette at 33 degrees, New Iberia 32, Morgan City the same, 34 degrees in Crowley, and we're still dealing with a a quiet forecast for the rest of this weekend. It's not until next week where we'll see some changes in that forecast. But jetting off towards the East Coast, they're still dealing with a massive snowstorm, bringing in inches of snowfall there and even some hurricane force winds right off the coast. But for us, we're dealing with some clear skies, and this will remain the forecast for the rest of tonight and even Sunday morning. Now, we're still dealing with the multiple cold weather alerts from South Texas all the way through southern Florida. Extreme cold warning for south into Miami. Everyone will be dealing with some very cold temperatures for tonight, but our temperatures here in Acadiana, we'll see those get into the 20s well before midnight and remaining in the 20s all the way through the early hours of Sunday morning. So we're likely to remain below freezing a little bit before noon tomorrow. So to recap those conditions over the next 24 hours, very cold start or a frosty start to the morning. We'll actually warm up into the 40s. Unlike today, we stay mostly in the 30s, but we don't have any rain chances and we'll have plenty of sunshine to go around tomorrow. So stay tuned. We'll have more on how much longer we'll deal with these cold temperatures in the full weather.
All right, thanks, Brianna. And it sure is going to get cold, but a good way to warm up is with a big old bowl of gumbo. That's exactly what neighbors in St. Landry Parish did today at the 20th annual Gumbo Cook-Off to benefit Ashley DuPont Hatcher. That happened at the Yamblee Ag Arena in Opelousas, where teams competed for top honors in the Battle for the Paddle Gumbo Showdown. Cook-Off registration was $50 per team, but all those proceeds went to a great cause.
All the people come together for one family is incredible. And
really appreciate it.
I mean, we do it every year, but to see it happen for us and to see what happens on the backside of everything and all the work that goes into it is incredible. And they have a great team of people to go.
Really important for us as a community is to show this family that we love them. They have a community that's going to stand with them, not just financially to give to them, but to be by their side and support them as they go through this.
According to the Gumbo Foundation, this cook-off is more than a competition. It's a celebration of resilience, generosity, and Louisiana spirit. And Ashley is one neighbor who represents all of that. And now, speaking of Louisiana spirit, it's Mardi Gras season here in Acadiana, but this cold weather has put a damper on things over the past week. Karen Crow's Mardi Gras parade was scheduled to roll down University Avenue this morning, but was canceled. And so far, no plans of rescheduling have been announced. But over in Iberia Parish, the crew of Rio is gearing up for the good times. Members of the crew gathered this morning to load floats with tons of beads and throws ahead of the crew of Rio parade, set to roll through Lafayette next Saturday. If you've ever wondered how Mardi Gras crews managed to get those loads of throws onto the floats, here's your behind-the-scenes look.
It's kind of a big event for Rio today. We have food, and we get to mix with all the other members, and you know, it's just a great day for us. It's a family fun day. We have a lot of people here. We have our Rio store opened up, and you know, we're selling merchandise, and you know, we have a lot of good stuff this year. We have alligators, we have all kinds of beads, and it's going to be awesome. All kinds of light up. We're a night parade.
This year, the crew of Rio founders decided on a Brazilian theme, representing a moment of freedom and release through music, song, and dance. You can experience that moment at the upcoming parade, which kicks off Mardi Gras in Lafayette Parish, happening 2 weekends before Fat Tuesday. After the break, we have an important announcement for some neighbors in St. Landry Parish regarding their water. Stick around for that.
And also the break, we'll discuss the multiple cold weather alerts that we have here in Acadiana coming up. Welcome back, Acadiana. Lafayette, we got up to 39 degrees today, and that's not taking into account the windy conditions we had earlier today that made it feel like it was in the 20s. And then our morning low was 30 degrees, so we were a couple degrees below freezing, and we're likely to be below freezing again coming up tonight. But at least we got at least two more nights counting tonight will be below freezing before we start to gradually warm up into next week. But we got multiple weather alerts still ongoing for our area. We still have the cold weather advisory and the freeze warning, both until 10 a.m. tomorrow. Now, the cold weather advisories is for very cold wind chills as low as 16 because the wind speeds are still pretty elevated. And then the freeze warning is for the actual air temperature getting into the low 20s. Now, we don't have an extreme cold warning. That's still for eastern Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So our temperatures tonight, starting with our inland parishes, down to the low 20s, especially for Alexandria, Bunkie, about 21 degrees in Alexandria, 20 in Bunkie, 21 degrees in Ville Platte, also 20 degrees in Opelousas. And then for us in Lafayette, about 20 degrees there, 22 in Cecilia. And our coastal parishes, not escaping those cold temperatures either, still in the low 20s. Now, the wind chills, we'll see those get into the teens for a few areas and also the 20s there. Wind speeds a lot calmer as we head into tomorrow morning, but we can still see those wind speeds pretty light, around 5 miles per hour out of the north. So how long will we be below freezing for tonight? Depending on your location, south of I-10, between 11 to 13 hours. North of that, so this includes Beauregard Parish, Allen, Evangeline, and St. Landry, between 13 to 15 hours. And then for the north, around Vernon, Rapides Parish, and Avoyelles, between 15 to 17 hours that will be below freezing. So cold air pretty much settling in this evening all the way through the late morning hours tomorrow. Now we'll finally warm up well above freezing into the 40s, possibly some 50s out there by the time we get into tomorrow afternoon. And then right along Interstate 10, those temperatures meander between the upper 40s to low 50s as well. And the same goes for our coastal parishes. Now for tomorrow night, we'll still be in the 20s, but not expecting the low 20s. We'll be closer to the upper 20s and low 30s arriving for Monday morning. And then Monday, very nice out there for Groundhog's Day, topping out in the mid and upper 60s. So this will be the warmest day that we have seen in the last couple of days, and I will definitely enjoy it because cold weather, not my cup of tea. Now, the East Coast, they're still dealing with multiple winter weather alerts, including a winter weather advisory and winter storm warning in the pinks. And they have been pretty much battling with the snow all day, even since last night, with rainfall mostly off the coast, but they'll likely continue to deal with the snowfall for the rest of tonight. And it's been plenty of snowfall reports stretching from Alabama, Georgia, especially the Carolinas, with this system. So rain chances, we will remain very dry through Monday, but we'll get this next system in here that'll bring us some scattered showers, especially for Tuesday night into early Wednesday. After that, staying pretty dry. Now with this system, it does bring us a cold front, but we're not expecting those temperatures to drop off like we have seen pretty much all of January. So we'll be dealing with temperatures warming up into the upper 40s tomorrow, 60s arriving on Monday, may even see some low 70s out there by Tuesday. Wednesday, we drop off again into the 50s, but not expecting those temperatures to get below freezing during that time. But after that, next weekend, very seasonable in the upper 60s. Stay tuned. We'll have another look at the 10-day forecast later in the show.
All right, thanks, Brianna. Now we have an important reminder for some neighbors in St. Landry Parish. A boil advisory has been put into effect for some customers of the Prairie Ronde water system. The roads you see on your screen now are affected by the advisory. Heidi B., Bertrand, Jess Bergeron, and Baggies Camp roads. This boil advisory is due to a break in the main line and is in effect until further notice. Coming up, a look at protesters expected in dozens of states across the nation this weekend as activist groups march and rally in downtown Minneapolis today. Plus, the federal government has entered another partial shutdown this weekend. We'll have the details on that, including how long it's expected to last, right after the break. Welcome back. We have an update on those ICE protests in Minneapolis, where demonstrators are voicing their opposition to the raids and deportations. ABC's Acadiana is in Minneapolis with how those events unfolded, plus what Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is now saying.
At high noon today, across the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, church bells ringing out with renewed calls for ICE to get out of their communities. Anti-immigration enforcement protests planned all across the country this weekend. Today in Minneapolis, demonstrators targeting Target.
We are here inside one of the many Targets in Minneapolis where dozens of protesters have decided to hold a sit-in, making their voices heard.
The retail giant headquartered here. Protesters urging the corporation to take a stand with them and against the immigration crackdown. Target states it does not have any agreements with immigration enforcement agencies. Today, a memo obtained by ABC News says ICE agents can now arrest someone for being in the U.S. illegally without a warrant if an officer feels he or she is likely to escape. But a judge in Texas today ordering the release of 5-year-old Liam Conejo Ramos and his father from detention. Liam was pictured standing alone in the cold, swept up in an ICE raid in Minneapolis almost 2 weeks ago. A week ago today, federal border agents shot and killed Alex Preddy.
The FBI is leading the investigation.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem came under fire for the agency's response and the characterization of Preddy as a domestic terrorist. Today, Noem standing behind
Steve,
ICE operations in Minneapolis.
We're going to continue to try to work with the local law enforcement and the leadership in Minnesota to do that, to make that community safer.
And in Minnesota today, in honor of Alex Preddy, hundreds of cyclists braved sub-freezing temperatures in a memorial ride. Some 200 solidarity rides planned for cyclists around the country and around the world. Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Minneapolis.
A federal judge ruled the Trump administration's immigration enforcement surge can continue in Minnesota. The state and the Twin Cities sued federal officers earlier this month, calling Operation Metro Surge a federal invasion that violated the Constitution. In her ruling, the judge wrote that plaintiffs made a strong showing that the enforcement surge has had a profound impact on the state. But she wrote the harms of the operation must be balanced with the harms an injunction would pose to the government's efforts to enforce immigration law. The judge also noted how a federal appeals court blocked her order that limits how federal agents can interact with protesters. She wrote how if that injunction went too far, then, quote, halting the entire operation certainly would. And in a statement, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey said while he was disappointed in the ruling, the city will continue to pursue the lawsuit. Now we're taking a live look at the Capitol as the U.S. government is partially shut down, but it's not expected to last long or have a big impact. Hours before Friday's deadline, the Senate approved a funding deal. However, that agreement isn't official until a vote from the House, which won't happen until Monday. One of the main sticking points is regarding the Department of Homeland Security. The package in question financially backs 75% of government agencies through September, with the exception to the DHS, which only has 2 weeks of funding. The 2 weeks would give lawmakers time to negotiate reforms to the agency's immigration enforcement operations. It's a partial shutdown because Congress already passed legislation funding several agencies for the rest of the fiscal year. But if the shutdown goes beyond Monday, it could cause travel problems at airports and the stoppage of paychecks for many federal workers.
The Raging Cajuns continue their homestand with their second game at the Cajun Dome. I'm Anthony Council, and I'll get you ready for game day. The Cajuns hit the hardwood against another Sun Belt opponent as they look to gain momentum off their win against Georgia State. Raging Cajuns look to build confidence off their recent win against Georgia State Thursday, facing another Georgia team in Georgia Southern. UL guard Devion looks to build off his career night with 23 points and getting his team involved and taking it moment by moment.
I feel like the message was just get one game at a time. Like we're gonna win this one. We need this one to get the next one. So I just feel like that's where we at right now, and that's what turned us up defensively.
Coming up at 10, I'll give you the recap on today's game at the Cajun Dome. Anthony Council, KATC Sports.
Coming up right after the break, another look at some of our top stories from across Acadiana this week, including how the winter weather impacted some of our grocery stores. And is that weather going to continue? We'll find out later on when meteorologist Brianna Lewis gives us another look at our 10-day forecast. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back, Acadiana. This week has been all about weather, with those freezing temperatures and chilly winds sweeping many of us off our toes. But we have had a few other big stories across Acadiana this week, including the arrest of Broussard Middle School's Teacher of the Year. 37-year-old Christy Oster was booked into the Lafayette jail for indecent behavior with a juvenile and carnal knowledge of a juvenile. Police say the allegations involve a former student who Oster is accused of, quote, maintaining an inappropriate relationship with. After reaching out to Lafayette Parish School System, we learned Oster is on leave. Meanwhile, that cold weather we keep mentioning put quite a strain on infrastructure and operations across the South, including here in Louisiana. If you headed to the grocery store this week and couldn't find everything on your list, you weren't alone. Winter weather delayed delivery trucks, leading to shortages in some stores, making it difficult for stores to provide the level of service customers are used to. But hopefully you'll find things are getting back to normal. And now, of course, you can find all these stories and so many more over on KATC.com.
And after the break, we'll have one final look at the 10-day. We got 2 more nights of hard freezes through early Monday. After that, we'll see those overnight temperatures well above freezing to enter the first full week of February. Now, tomorrow, it'll be another cold or chilly day out there in the upper 40s. And check out Groundhog Day. We'll see highs topping out in the 60s, possibly some low 70s out there arriving on Tuesday before we have another chance of showers roll in Tuesday night. So it has been a cold one this January, Anna, but we'll see some warmer temperatures out there.
Definitely. I'm eyeing those
February.
70s. Yeah, I'm eyeing those 70s later on. At the beginning of February?
I know I'm about to switch my boots for my sandals.
Yeah, that's
again.
not bad. That's not bad. I'm finally looking for those temperatures to pick up. Maybe a little bit better crawfish for all of us
That
out
is
there.
true, because I know the 2 stories we've been running about the cold and how it affects the crawfish.
I'll eat it either way. I'll eat it either way. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you tonight at 10.